Have you ever wondered why, despite giving your best, people don't value you? Why the ones you love take you for granted? Why your silence is mistaken for weakness? And why your kindness is often used as an invitation for exploitation? This isn't about bad luck. It's about a pattern, a truth that most people ignore because it's uncomfortable. You're not being overlooked because you're unworthy. You're being overlooked because you haven't learned how to stand in your own power. And until you do, the cycle will repeat itself, leaving you drained, bitter, and questioning your very worth. But here's the shocking reality. People don't respect what is easily available. They respect what demands strength, boundaries, and discipline. Every time you allow someone to walk over you, you're teaching them how to treat you. And here's the part most never tell you. The very same people who dismiss you today will chase you tomorrow the moment they sense that you've raised your standards. Because nothing compels others more than the presence of someone who values themselves so deeply. They cannot be ignored. This isn't just about relationships, it's about life itself. The world does not hand respect to the passive. It bends to those who command it through clarity, resilience, and presence. If you're tired of being invisible, tired of repeating the same painful patterns, then stay with me until the very end of this message, because what I am about to reveal is not just theory. It is the exact shift that transforms ordinary men and women into unshakable forces. By the time you finish watching, you won't just understand why they undervalued you. You'll know exactly how to make them regret ever doubting your worth. Most men don't realize that the fastest way to kill a woman's interest is not by being rude, it's not by being absent, it's by begging. Begging is subtle. It doesn't always look like falling on your knees with flowers or crying into her voicemail. Begging is the constant texting, the over-apologizing for things that don't need apologies, the endless explanations of your feelings when she's already pulled away. It's the energy of desperation that creeps into every interaction. And here's the hard truth: women feel that energy instantly. It doesn't matter what you say. She feels whether you are centered in yourself or whether you're collapsing into her approval. And the moment she senses collapse, the moment she sees that your sense of worth depends on her reaction, her respect begins to evaporate. Respect is the foundation of attraction. A woman cannot desire a man she does not respect, and she cannot respect a man who is willing to throw away his dignity for attention. When you beg, you communicate that you value her more than you value yourself. And think about it. Why would she value you if you are showing her that you don't value yourself? This is the paradox that most men never grasp. They think proving their love with constant reassurance will rekindle her interest, but it does the opposite. It tells her that you are not complete without her validation. And a man who is not complete on his own becomes a burden, not a source of strength. The psychology of attraction is rooted in polarity: masculine energy that stands firm and feminine energy that moves, tests, and flows. When a man abandons his ground to please, when he chases validation instead of embodying his own worth, polarity collapses. She doesn't pull closer, she drifts further. This is why begging is not just unattractive, it is destructive. It reverses the roles. Instead of being the man she was drawn to, you become the boy who needs her approval to breathe. And women may have compassion for that boy, but they will never feel desire for him. Now, let's go deeper. Why do men beg? It's rarely because of the woman herself. It's because of fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being good enough. That fear disguises itself as love, but it's not love, it's insecurity in action. Begging says, I cannot stand on my own, I need you to validate my existence. And here is the brutal reality. You cannot hold on to someone by gripping tighter, you only push them away. You cannot build love from a place of fear, because fear suffocates while love breathes. Think of the men women admire most: leaders, creators, protectors. None of them beg. Not because they don't feel deeply, not because they don't care, but because they understand that their worth does not collapse if one woman leaves. They know that respect precedes desire, and they live by the principle that if you have to beg to be chosen, you are not chosen at all. I want you to reflect on this when you begged, when you sent that long message, when you tried to convince her of your value. Did it work? Or did she pull away even more? The answer is obvious, and yet men repeat the cycle, thinking that if they just explain better, if they just love harder, she will see. No, the truth is, the harder you beg, the clearer it becomes to her that she holds the power, and the weaker your presence feels. Interest is not regained by submission, it is regained by strength. This is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about recognizing that love cannot exist without respect, and respect cannot exist where there is begging. When you stop begging, you don't just shift the dynamic with her, you shift the dynamic with yourself. You reclaim your self-respect, and that radiates outward, and whether she comes back or not, you stand as a man who no longer trades dignity for scraps of attention. That is the first and most crucial step in regaining any woman's interest, and more importantly, in regaining yourself. So hear me clearly. The moment you beg, you hand away your power. The moment you choose self-respect over desperation, you take it back. And that choice will determine whether you continue living in the shadow of her approval or step into the light of your own strength. A woman cannot fall for a man who has already fallen to his knees for her validation. Stand up, respect yourself, and watch how the world, including her, begins to respect you again. When a woman begins to lose interest, most men instinctively do the opposite of what actually works. They start calling more, texting more, chasing harder, and explaining endlessly. They think that by increasing their presence, they will increase her attention. But what really happens? The more you show up uninvited, the more invisible you become. The more you talk, the less she hears. It's not because she doesn't understand you. It's because she already knows what you want. And the constant repetition kills the mystery that once made her drawn to you. Human beings are wired to crave what is slightly out of reach. Desire feeds on distance, on the unknown, on the tension between presence and absence. When you are always available, you become predictable, and predictability may feel safe, but it does not feel exciting. In the beginning, she was fascinated by you not because you flooded her with messages, but because there was something about you she couldn't fully grasp. She wondered where you were, what you were doing, who you were becoming. That wonder created attraction, and when you erased all wonder by being constantly accessible, her imagination went silent, and so did her interest. This is why disappearing is not weakness. Disappearing is strategy. It's not about punishing her. It's not about manipulation. It's about resetting the dynamic. When you create space, you remind her of what she risks losing. You give her the gift of absence, the chance to feel your presence by missing it. Think of it like music. Silence between the notes is what makes the melody powerful. Without silence, it's just noise. Without distance, your presence becomes noise too. Now, some men fear that if they step back, she will forget them. But let me ask you, how can she forget what is etched in her memory? What fades is not the person, but the intensity. And intensity fades when it's overt. Pulling back allows her to feel hunger again. Your absence is not erasure, it is oxygen, and without oxygen, attraction suffocates. The key is intention. Disappearing does not mean ghosting in bitterness or sulking in silence. It means choosing not to be excessively available. It means resisting the urge to respond instantly to every message, resisting the temptation to narrate your entire life to her, resisting the weakness of proving your worth through constant presence. Instead, you invest that energy into yourself, into your work, your health, your goals, your growth. This shift forces her to see you differently. She sees a man not clinging to her validation, but a man rooted in his own mission. That is the man she was first intrigued by. Philosophically, this touches on something deeper. Attraction is not just about physical chemistry, it's about psychological space. The human mind values what it cannot fully possess. A relationship without any distance becomes suffocating, not secure. Just as fire needs air to burn, love needs space to breathe. When you create that space, you invite her curiosity back into the equation. She wonders again, she imagines again. And imagination is the birthplace of desire. Men who fail to understand this sabotage themselves. They mistake silence for loss, when silence is actually the soil in which new attraction can grow. They think disappearing means indifference, but it is often the most powerful display of self-respect, because what you are really communicating is this: I am not dependent on your attention to validate my existence. I am whole without you. And that message, even unspoken, commands respect. Of course, disappearing is only powerful if it is genuine. If you step back but secretly stalk her online, if you pull away but secretly wait by the phone, she will feel that energy. Women are intuitive. They sense the truth beneath the words. True disappearance is not absence alone. It is presence elsewhere. It is being absorbed in your life so fully that your energy shifts away from her. And when she feels that shift, when she realizes that you are no longer orbiting her, that is when she begins to notice the silence. And silence, in that moment, speaks louder than any words you could send. So ask yourself this: is your constant availability serving you? Or is it killing the very attraction you want to preserve? Are you feeding her curiosity, or are you starving it with your predictability? Because a woman cannot desire a man who gives himself away too cheaply. She desires a man who understands the value of his presence, and who is wise enough to use his absence as part of his strength. Remember this: your silence is not emptiness. Your disappearance is not defeat. It is the quiet force that reawakens her awareness of you, and in that awareness, interest is born again. If you want her attention, don't flood her with your presence. Become the silence that makes her crave your return. If there is one truth that men must confront, it is this: a woman's interest does not fade simply because she gets bored. It fades because she no longer sees you as the man she first admired. And what she admired was not just your looks, your words, or your charm. What drew her in was your frame. Your frame is the invisible posture you carry in life. The way you hold yourself, the way you define your world, the way you stand rooted in your mission. It is the essence of your leadership, your direction, your strength. When you lose that frame and make her the center of your existence, you are no longer a man on a path, you are a man orbiting around hers. And the tragedy is that women cannot respect a man who abandons his mission for their approval. In the beginning, she was attracted because she sensed you had something more important than her: a dream, a vision, a discipline, a life that was unfolding with or without her. That energy is magnetic because it says, I am already complete, and you may join me if you wish. But when you surrender that frame, when you bend your life around her moods, when you stop growing and start waiting for her validation, you become smaller in her eyes. You may think you are showing love, but what you are really showing is dependency. And dependency suffocates desire. Rebuilding your frame means shifting back into alignment with your own mission. It means asking yourself, who am I outside of her? What am I building that stands whether she stays or goes? Because a woman is not inspired by a man who clings. She is inspired by a man who builds. Your frame is not just about confidence in conversation. It is about the trajectory of your entire life. A man with a strong frame is unshakable. He can listen, he can care, he can love deeply, but he cannot be pulled off his path. And paradoxically, the moment you reclaim that posture, she begins to feel interest again. Let me explain why. Women are drawn to leadership, not in the sense of domination, but in the sense of direction. She wants to feel that if she joins you, her life expands, her story grows, her experiences deepen. If she feels she has become your purpose, She feels trapped because no woman wants the crushing weight of being a man's entire reason for existence. She wants to contribute to your mission, not replace it. When you rebuild your frame, you lift that weight off her shoulders and remind her of the man she first respected. The man with vision, with drive, with fire in his eyes. This is why men who focus on their careers, their health, their financial independence, their spiritual growth, these men rarely beg for interest. Their life is too full to shrink into desperation. Their energy communicates abundance, and that energy is far more attractive than any flowers, dinners, or apologies could ever be. A woman wants to stand beside a man who has already claimed his place in the world because that place feels secure. If you have no ground of your own, you cannot expect her to stand with you. Philosophically, think about it like this: every man is either a frame holder or a frame follower. When you are a frame follower, you allow others, especially women, to dictate your emotions, your decisions, your direction. You are reactive, constantly shifting based on her reactions. When you are a frame holder, you invite her into your world, but you never abandon your ground. She can influence, but she cannot derail. And that difference determines whether she sees you as a partner or as a project. No woman wants to mother her man. She wants to admire him. So, how do you rebuild your frame once it's broken? By drawing boundaries where you once bent, by pursuing growth where you once stalled, by saying no when you once said yes just to please. It's about small daily choices that rebuild your spine, lifting weights not just to look better, but to feel stronger, working on your finances not just to impress her, but to secure your independence, learning, building, leading not because she demands it, but because it is who you are. Over time, this posture becomes unshakable, and once it is restored, interest follows, not because you chased it, but because you embodied it. The hardest part for most men is accepting that regaining her interest is not about her at all. It's about you. When you rebuild your frame, you don't just shift the dynamic with her, you shift your dynamic with the world. You stand taller, you speak clearer, you move with conviction, and that energy forces her to see you again, not as the man who begged for scraps, but as the man she was once proud to follow. Never forget this. If you make her your mission, you lose her. If you make your mission, she may choose to walk with you. Rebuilding your frame is not just a step to regain her interest. It is the foundation of living as a man who never loses it again. A woman may test your patience, she may test your strength, but she will always respect the man who never abandons his mission. Reclaim your frame, and you reclaim not only her interest, but your entire life. Attraction is not born in comfort, it is born in tension. This is the piece most men completely miss. They believe that the way to win a woman's heart again is to soften, to agree with everything she says, to prove how kind, patient, and endlessly understanding they can be. And while kindness has its place, comfort without polarity kills desire. If she feels that you have become her mirror, nodding at every word, erasing every edge, she doesn't feel loved, she feels bored. Polarity is the spark between masculine and feminine energy, the magnetic pull created by difference, not sameness. In the beginning, she was drawn to you because you had your own voice, your own stance, your own way of being. You teased her, you challenged her, you stood firm when she pushed. That dynamic created excitement because she felt the heat of two strong energies dancing with each other. But over time, many men surrender that dynamic. They stop challenging, they stop teasing, they stop holding their ground. Out of fear of losing her, they try to become what they think she wants: safe, agreeable, predictable. And in doing so, they unknowingly extinguish the very fire that made her interested in the first place. Reigniting polarity means reintroducing that edge. It means allowing space for playful conflict, for teasing, for disagreement. It means not being afraid to say no when you truly mean no. It means daring to hold your opinion, even when it clashes with hers. Because when you do, she doesn't see a man who is stubborn. She sees a man who is alive, who is not willing to collapse just to keep the peace. And that kind of strength is magnetic. The psychology behind this is simple. Desire thrives when there is tension. Not destructive tension, not constant fighting, but the dynamic push and pull that keeps two people intrigued by one another. When polarity is lost, the relationship turns into friendship, and while friendship is beautiful, friendship alone cannot sustain attraction. You don't want her to see you as her best friend, you want her to feel you as her man. That distinction lies in your willingness to hold polarity. This is also about playfulness. Think about how attraction first unfolded between you. It was playful, unpredictable, full of small challenges and subtle resistance. She tested you, and you laughed instead of crumbling. You teased her, and she blushed instead of resenting it. That play created electricity. When you reintroduce that kind of energy, you remind her body of what it once felt in your presence. Because desire does not respond to logic, it responds to energy. Philosophically, polarity teaches us something profound. Love is not the merging of two people into one. That is fusion, and fusion suffocates. Love is the dance of two different forces coming together while still remaining whole. When you give up your difference in the name of harmony, you destroy the very structure that allows attraction to exist. To reignite polarity is to reclaim your difference, to stand in your masculine ground while allowing her to fully express her feminine. It is not about dominance. It is about contrast, and contrast is what makes sparks fly. Now, some men will resist this, saying, "But I don't want to upset her." Understand this. Upsetting her is not the same as disrespecting her. You can love someone deeply and still resist them when necessary. You can listen with compassion and still hold your ground. Women do not lose interest because you disagree. They lose interest because you stop being real. Authenticity, even when it creates friction, is far more attractive than fake harmony. Reigniting polarity also demands that you stop being overly available emotionally. When every emotion of hers instantly becomes your emergency, when you are constantly adapting yourself to her moods, you flatten the tension that keeps attraction alive. Instead, you need to remain centered. You can empathize without absorbing. You can support without collapsing. That steadiness, that refusal to be swept away, reignites her respect and desire simultaneously. So the next time she tests you, the next time she pushes, the next time she disagrees, do not fold just to preserve peace. Meet her with strength, with playfulness, with presence. Show her that you are not afraid of her storm, because your ground is too solid to be shaken. That is the essence of polarity, the dance between resistance and surrender, between strength and softness, between masculine and feminine. And here is the irony: the more you try to be what you think she wants, the less she wants you. The more you become fully yourself, unafraid of conflict, unafraid of tension, the more she feels the pull of your presence. Interest does not return through begging, through agreement, or through comfort. It returns through polarity. If you want her to feel that spark again, stop trying to be her reflection, stand as her contrast, because it is not sameness that creates desire, it is difference. And the man who dares to hold his edge is the man who reignites her fire. At the core of everything we have spoken about, whether it is not begging, creating mystery, holding your frame, or reigniting polarity, there is one principle that underpins it all. That principle is self-respect. Without it, every other step collapses. Without it, you may attempt to pull back, but she will feel the desperation behind it. You may try to rebuild your frame, but it will be shaky, like a house built on sand. You may try to create polarity, but it will come across as performance instead of presence. Self-respect is the foundation, and once you lose it, you lose everything. Most men are unaware of how easily they trade their self-respect for temporary relief. They hand it away with a late-night text, with an apology they don't mean, with tolerance for disrespect they should have never allowed. They do it because they are afraid of losing her. But what they don't realize is that by surrendering their self-respect, they have already lost her. Because no woman can admire, desire, or stay loyal to a man who has betrayed himself just to keep her. Self-respect means setting boundaries not just with her, but with yourself. It means refusing to allow fear to dictate your choices. It means standing in your truth, even when it risks conflict. It means saying no when every nerve in your body screams to say yes just to keep the peace. This is not arrogance, it is integrity. And integrity is what separates a man she tolerates from a man she treasures. Think of it this way: when you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you. Every time you allow a woman to cross a boundary without consequence, you are teaching her that your limits are negotiable. Every time you stay silent when she disrespects you, you are teaching her that your voice has no value. And every time you beg for attention, you are teaching her that your dignity is disposable. Over time, she stops respecting you not because she is cruel, but because you have shown her that you do not respect yourself. This does not mean being harsh, cold, or unfeeling. True self-respect is calm, steady, and firm. It doesn't scream, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't prove. It simply stands. It says, "This is who I am. This is what I am. This is what I will not tolerate. And if you cannot meet me here, then I will walk away." That posture alone is magnetic because it communicates strength without arrogance. And strength, when combined with love, is irresistible. Philosophically, self-respect is something timeless. It is not about ego. Ego is fragile. It reacts, it seeks validation, it demands recognition. Self-respect is deeper. It is rooted in an understanding of your inherent worth. It is the quiet knowledge that you are valuable regardless of who stays or leaves. When you live from that place, you stop clinging to people out of fear. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging for crumbs. Instead, you offer your love freely, but you never compromise your dignity in the process. Now, some men will ask, but what if she leaves when I enforce my boundaries? Then let her leave. Because the truth is brutal but clear. If the price of keeping her is abandoning yourself, you will never truly have her anyway. A woman may stay with a man who sacrifices his self-respect, but she will not admire him, she will not desire him, and eventually she will seek that strength elsewhere. You cannot cheat this law. Either you respect yourself, or you bleed out your worth trying to keep someone who does not value it. And here lies the paradox. The moment you stop fearing loss, the moment you hold yourself-respect as non-negotiable, is the moment most women begin to see you differently. They realize they cannot push you endlessly. They realize you are not just another man desperate for attention. They realize they are dealing with someone rare, someone who would rather be alone with dignity than together in desperation. That realization reignites respect, and respect is the soil in which attraction grows again. So understand this: self-respect is not just one piece of regaining a woman's interest. It is the master key. It is what separates men who crumble from men who command presence. It is what makes her think twice before dismissing you, because she knows she cannot play games with a man who values himself. Every choice you make is either a deposit into your self-respect or a withdrawal from it. And once your account runs empty, you have nothing left to offer anyone. Refill it, guard it, protect it as if your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. A woman can only respect a man who respects himself, and if you refuse to abandon yourself, you will never truly lose her or anyone worth keeping.